Okay.
Howdy. In today's video, I'm going to cover a little bit more about winterizing. We'll talk about irrigation systems. I'm going to go insulate my my main valve stations. We'll talk about insulating a shallow well. I'll show you my deep well. We'll talk about that. I am going to go up and I'm going to take some more shade cloth off the chicken houses, let the sun in, and then I've got a tarp. I got to do a wrap around them just to keep that cold air off of them. I don't want to make it, I did a full video on that yesterday. What else am I doing? I'm going to change my filters up here. I'm going to change all my pre and post filters on my 600-foot deep well up here. Just general stuff. We'll talk. I got a deer stand up here. I'll show you that we had to raise up. It's just a bunch of crap. Here we go. So yeah, let me show you the RockWool on the winterizing. I've used this for several years now. I have a shallow well. I have 2 deep wells. I have pipes that come from the ground up into a building. I have irrigation valves that need to be insulated. In the Southeast, the ground is your friend, and that's the first thing you need to learn. So if you have like valve caps or valve covers, holding the ground temperature, which will usually stay in the 40s, maybe 50s, even in the coldest, holding that ground temperature with insulation is the key to it. You got it? You want to hold that ground temperature. This is RockWool. This is what I use. Unlike fiberglass, this will not embed into your skin. It's made from rocks. It's not made from a glass type deal. So you can literally take this and rub it on your face and you will not itch. You will not. I've done this. I've used this for years. The nice thing about this is, unlike fiberglass, you don't have to cut it. It just rips. You can cut it, but it just rips apart into sections. So you can take pieces of this and work it into different areas. And that's what I do on my shallow well and on my caps. This stuff costs about, you get it at Lowe's or Home Depot. It'll cost you about 80 bucks a bag, somewhere around there. I'll probably use 1 or 1.5 bags and put the extra up in here. Since I was paying for delivery on this, I had them deliver it. I figured I'd just go ahead and order 3 bags. But that stuff is amazing. I've used it for over 2 years now, 3 years now, going on 3 years. But it will not make you itch. Now, if you're doing a whole house, with this stuff and it's falling on you, it's just like a haircut. Yeah, you might have some of the fibers on you, but it's not going to embed into your skin and make you itch. That's the beauty of it. So if you don't know, I have a chicken that thinks it's a rooster. Is it a rooster? I don't know. I don't know. There we are. She does that every morning. And I'm saying she, but supposedly there's a hormone imbalance or something that can happen in a chicken, cause it to crow like a rooster. But I don't know, it may be a rooster. The birds came all sexed when I ordered them. I had them sexed and they were all females, but now that sounds like a different one. It may be just that breed. It may be just that breed, because I know which ones are doing it. That is the funniest thing ever. All right, so I did a video on winterizing chicken houses, and one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take down the rest of this shade cloth so that the sun, because east, south, so I want that, but it's up with zip ties. I have to cut them off. I hear you, honey. You're very, very loud. And then what I want to do is I want to wrap some tarp around here just to keep wind out of there. Still have ventilation. I don't want to close it off because humidity is your #1 problem in the wintertime. But I just want to keep, any blowing. See, that was 2 of them at the same time. That was 2 of those, and I know what it is. It's that one breed that's doing it. But you want to keep that blowing wind through there. So I got to figure out how to get in there without scaring the hell out of these girls. But first I need to cut down this shade cloth. Talking about insulating, if you have spigots on the outside of your house, you need to take care of those. My daughter, actually, they had a pipe burst, and it was a result of an outside spigot freezing and following the pipe inside, and they had a copper pipe, and that copper pipe split in their basement, finished basement. And yeah, could have been a real nightmare if she wasn't awake at 3 a.m. and heard heard the actual pipe burst. So you can put those little cones on it, but on a lot of houses, on the more modern houses that are built, depending on, not all of them have it, but if you find your spigot on the outside of your house, spigot, go inside to where that spigot is located. So like, let's say it's a bathroom. If you open up that cabinet, or if you go in the closet, usually what you'll see is you'll see that pipe running outside for that spigot. And usually there will be a shut-off valve that is inside the house where you can shut off that spigot outside, and that's what you want to do. Now, if you have a house that doesn't have it, or you have an older home, find that, and I would definitely invest in either one of two things, either an antifreeze spigot that they make, or have a plumber come in and cut in a shut-off valve on the inside of your house. That's my recommendation. A lot of times those little foamy things don't really do enough, that you just sort of pop on, but hey, it's better than nothing. So yeah, use those, or hire a plumber to come replace it with a no-freeze faucet, or like I said, have them put a shut-off valve on the inside of your house. And that's what my son-in-law did. He had the plumber come out and put a shut-off valve, and of course replace it with PEX versus the copper. But I got to cut off. Someone went a little bit crazy with the zip ties here, and we got way too many zip ties holding this up, and that's my watch going off. Someone texted me. All right, so I've loaded up a bag of RockWool, and I'm driving around, and I am going to put it inside all this stuff, but it does rip easily, so you need to be careful. See how it rips? Just like this. And this is the wonderful part about it. So I've got these valves here, so I'm just going to rip this apart, and I am going to shove this RockWool inside here, RockWool inside here, and this is going to hold the ground temperature down. And that's what we want. We want to hold, we want to use the temperature of the ground. We want to use the temperature of the ground and hold that so that it doesn't freeze. Let's put these caps back on. Get some weeds out. There we go. I've got a valve station over here next to my well. I got to do that shallow well. Then I have a valve station up here, and I want to take you over and I want to show you what we did. Matter of fact, let me make sure I got a drill bit. I want to show you this, and I want to put some extra RockWool inside of this little, if you have it would almost be like if you had a mobile home or an outbuilding where the water came from the ground up under your house. Just making sure I'm not dropping insulation as I drive along. Let me come over here and show you this on the cabin. There's an underground pipe that runs over here, a 1-inch pipe over to the cabin, and then it comes up, and there's no underpinning or insulation under the cabin. So right now we've got a bunch of junk stockpiled over here. I'm gonna have to move that to show you, but all right, so you'll have to excuse the mess over here. But what we did is I had Jesse dig down almost 12 inches into the dirt, and I had him build this little box. See this box with a screw on top? And then I came in with spray foam that you can order off Amazon, and I actually spray foam that whole thing. So all the pipe is covered with spray foam. It stays nice and toasty warm, but again, I'm using the temperature of the ground to keep that warm. Shallow wells are about, what, 30 inches across and about 30 feet deep. And it just pulls in the local groundwater. This used to serve the house. And of course, I don't like shallow wells because they pull in contaminants. You're pulling in anything, bacteria and anything. You constantly have to treat this. If you're not treating a shallow well every year, if you're not chlorinating it every year, once a year, you need to be doing that because it can really gather some bad stuff, and you should have some kind of filtration on your system. But this now, all it serves is my irrigation, my front, my back irrigation, and the hose next to my truck. I don't want to shut it down because I still use that hose if I got to wash off my boots or something, but I will pack this, all the sides. I will pack this with RockWool and then I'll build a top on it. And we've never had an issue by doing that. So I want to create that side in here and then on top. I could spray foam it, but to be honest, it's easier just to do this. Now here's my other valve station. So I took the lid off of it. Let me get out of the sun, Doc. I took the lid off, and this is my other valve station. So if I left this like this, those valves are probably going to freeze and crack. And I have had that happen before. At the other house, we had 2 valve station freeze, and the valves actually split. So they can split. So let me grab some of this and shove this in there. Of course, it's wonderful because you can just rip it instead of cutting it. Get it in there and pack it really well. This is what I love about it. You just rip off little pieces and just shove it in there wherever you want. And we're nice and toasty now. That is not going to freeze there, folks. Which way does it go? It goes like that. Okay, so one of the benefits of this tearing so easily is you can fill all these little cracks. So as you can see here, I've got a pipe and I need to work around that pipe. You don't want to leave that air gap. And you rip off little pieces and just shove those little pieces all around your piping and create, see over here, I need to do the same thing. I need to get around this pipe and under it, work all the way around, and then what I'll do is I'll create a big top layer on top of that. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. So if you have a shallow well, get some RockWool. Even if you have one of those covers on it, because we have little houses built and everything, I still, just in case, I always do some extra insulation. Okay, so that's done. Oh, wasp nest. I have gone through and I've shoved it in all the cracks all the way around here. I made a full surround and then I put insulation on top. And what I've done is I've just created a little igloo here. You can buy these blankets that they make, but I'm telling you, the little blankets just have a little bit of insulation, and I'm telling you, it's probably not enough if you get really, really cold and you got a shallow well. I'll take you up here and show you the deep well here in a minute. Okay, so Ryan and I built this well house the first year we bought the property, and it's held up really well. I had to restain it, but we put up insulation boards, and the whole thing has insulation board. But here's one of the keys to this. We raised the floor up and we left an opening in there in the hole around that well pump. So all of the ground temperature comes up. If it gets down to maybe 50 degrees or so, it's gonna come up and heat that. So here's what I do on my deep well. And I know this seems silly, but it works really well. I have an old sleeping bag, and I wrap the pressure tank in the sleeping bag, and then I shove the RockWool. The RockWool is all down here around it, and I leave it all year. And the reason being is in the summertime, that keeps this cool. So the cool temperature actually keeps this water cool so it doesn't get hot. And so it works both ways. It keeps it cold and keeps it hot. By the way, this is my filtration system. It's an Aquasana. I have a pre-filter, which I need to change. I should do that today. Pre-filter, carbonized filter, post-filter, and a UV filter. And I have 238 hours remaining on my UV bulb. Oh man, this is always the hard part. Trying to fit my big ass back here. Actually, this one is not as bad as I've seen it before, but man, there's just nothing but little grains of grit all stuck in there. And that stuff, that's the stuff that gets into your shower heads and your sinks. That's why it's important to change it. Every 6 months, change that filter if you haven't changed it. Great. So I unscrewed that top. I unscrewed the top of that thing, opened it up. And as soon as I opened up, I saw this big nest with all these red and black hornets on it. Oh my goodness. It can never be easy, can it? I got a bottle of permethrin. Let's see if this will help. They're probably all gonna come out and attack me. This is not gonna be fun, dude. They are nasty looking. I'm afraid to open it, but I gotta get in there, so let's put the sleeves down and let's get ready to scream like a little girl here. Holy cow. Man, there had to be 50 of them in there. Thank God. If you live on a farm, you should always have this in your vehicle. Spray it on your boots. You won't get red ant. I stepped in 3 red ant piles today. I killed the 3 red ant piles. You won't get chiggers. You won't get ticks. Get some permethrin and keep it in there. You never know. That comes up. Holy cow, dude. They were nasty looking. Stop texting me. All right, well, we're going to give them 24 hours before we insulate that one. There's always a surprise. Welcome to farm life. All right, I forgot I do have one more little valve station up here because I did run water. So this well, not only does it run down and tie into the main well, but it also runs over here to that self-draining spigot. And I talked about that in my last video about getting short hoses that you can use a quick disconnect on. And once you're done using your hose with a 10-foot hose, disconnect it and hang it up and let it dry, because your hose will freeze and you won't be able to give your animals water. But there's another little shutoff valve here. All right, and I've got wire and I've got a shutoff valve there, but I need to stuff that full. What I can do is I can just rip little pieces and work these little pieces in. That's the beauty of this. You can fill all these cracks without having to cut it, and that's what I love about it. With normal insulation, you can't do this. You can't do this with normal insulation. You can't just rip off pieces like this and then work it into the cracks. That's what's great about this. I love it. We're just gonna shove it in there. Again, we're holding the ground temperature in. All like that. My watch is going off. There. All done. All right, so what we're doing is, originally we had put this up here, but we have a bunch of deer traffic, so we moved it back over here. But the legs are too short to see over all this standing corn. So we're taking off these legs that are about 4 feet, and we're gonna put 8-footers on it. See how this works. This could end in disaster. All right, we got it off. Now we got to get this out of here. Careful here. Hey, let me go up. Okay, since we have standing corn out here in most of these fields, that tree stand was not high enough, so we raised it up and we put it on. Now it's sitting up really high, so you can see now you're sitting up a good 12 feet up above this field. The other thing we did was we actually put this material on here, a little bit of camo, and then because it's high, this is the only stand we have that's out in the open. And if you get a gusty 20-25 mile an hour wind, you can sort of feel this stand. So we actually pounded rebar through the legs into the ground. and now it's just rock solid. But yeah, that's a good stand, because last year, 2 years ago, is where I took the biggest buck, which was up in that field at about 180 yards. So it's a good stand for certain times of the year. Okay, since I'm changing all the water filters down up there, I figured I'd do this one. You're gonna hear toenails from a Jack Russell. I need to cut her toenails. But so after it goes through that full system up there, it comes in here and it goes to this water drop. I'll link to this if you want. The reason why I use this system, this really is geared more towards city water, because it removes chlorine as well too. But I have this down at the beach house, and so it's easier for me just to order refills for both of them. So I have them on hand. So all you have to do, what's nice about this system, it just plugs in, is you just pull out one. Let me get the CT, just untwist it. And then what you do is you put your other one in. And same thing, you just go through and just replace all three of them. So GC is next. Ouch, that hurts. GC, and now I want to do PP. Of course, you shut off your water before you do this, and you don't have much of a water leak. There we go. So now we are all set. Let's turn it. Here we go. Now, I will say, if you're on city water, replace these every 6 months. I only do it once every year. Does it impact your water pressure? Yes, absolutely. It does a little bit. I'm running through a massive system up there, then through this triple, but this water here, I'm telling you, this is the cleanest water you'll ever, we've had it tested. It's amazing. Okay, so I covered this in the last video, but let me touch on it again. If you have a garden hose sitting out here, you'll never get all the water out of this thing. All the water is going to be sitting inside this. This is a 75-foot hose, and it's going to freeze, and you won't be able to use it. So what I do in the wintertime, and this is true up for the chickens and for here, is I get a little 10-foot hose, and I put a quick disconnect on it, and every time I shut off the water, then I drain this hose out. I only have to drain this small little hose. And of course I have, these are farm spigots. They're actually self-draining. So when you shut this off, all the water drains out of this tube and it goes into the ground. Now, once in a while, I'll forget to disconnect this, and this hose will be frozen. So this is a great little tip. So if you still need to use a hose, like every day before I go in the house, I need to wash off the bottom of my boots. That's why I have this hose here. Every day or every few days, I need to give the chickens water. So I'll use that little hose. But get the quick disconnects. Man, it'll save you a bunch of time. All right, so I am up here at the main fields, and we do a winter planting for the wildlife and the deer. I wanted to show you this real quick, and I also feed this to the chickens. But if you have a garden, a vegetable garden or flower garden, you can actually plant kale in the wintertime, and you'll have a source of greens all winter long. Especially if there's ever any kind of emergency situation, we literally can come out and we can eat for 6 months off of this stuff. I've got kale, I've got radish, daikon radish, I've got purple top turnip. This is just one field, and then I have the next field and the top field. And let me tell you what, I feed this every day. The chickens get their greens. There's also clover in here, but these daikon radishes, they will get, let me pull one out. These are daikon radishes, and they will get that big around and about 18 inches long. And I've got a guy, an old guy, that comes over and gets some of them. And what he does is he cuts these up, chops up the white and chops up the green, and he cooks them just like turnip greens. And he says they turn sweet. He says the grandkids love it, absolutely love it. But the chickens love it too. They pick the heck out of these greens. I think they like the greens more than black fly larvae or any other treat that I give them. They absolutely love their greens. But yeah, so I want to show you a special type of kale that I planted this year, and I'm about to gather some. Here's the new girls. Hey girls, what are you doing? Did I scare you today? I put up that wrap and you got scared? Yeah, I'm sorry. But this is that Lasatino kale here, right here. It's really cool, and it gets really big. And even if you're not a kale fan, this stuff is pretty good. Makes a great salad. But you talk about all winter long having some greens, fresh greens, you can plant that stuff now. And that's what we're gonna do. When we tear all this down, we're gonna plant some more of it. And of course the girls will eat it all winter too. I know. I'll get you some greens in a minute. So anyways, everything, don't get your head slammed trying to eat clover. So anyways, pretty much everything is all set. Make sure you check everything. Just run through all the connections that are exposed. Run through all the piping that's exposed. Run through your valve stations. You don't have to blow out a valve. You don't have to blow out an irrigation system in the southeast. We don't even have frost line requirements here. In other words, when we put a water pipe in, there is no frost line requirement. You can bury it 6 inches deep. So it's different here than it is up north. I get it. Anyways, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I got more coming. Talk to you later, Doc.